All right, my name's Charles Delfs, and I'm the CEO of Delfs Engineering, and we're going to talk about web apps today. With me is our product owner, and his name is Hassan.
Hey, nice to
So
meet everyone.
he's going to be leading the demos, and I'll just be talking like I know what I'm talking about, but not so much. And he's going to be the brains behind today's stuff. So I want to talk about web apps and where we can go with our clients. I can go to the next slide there.
Oh, I think it's frozen.
Yeah, you broke it already. Let's see. Yeah,
The
there's something
cursor.
wigged. Yeah, there's something wigged out there. You know what? Maybe just you can just close it and rerun it. Maybe open and close it. So who builds web apps right now currently? How are you communicating? How are you going about that? We talked earlier, right? Right. What about technology stack and the reactive framework you're using is Svelte? Right. So there's a number of different what they call reactive frameworks. They're basically, you can think of it as a library or a system that keeps data in sync. Right. We sort of take reactivity for granted in FileMaker because we're used to editing something here and it just changes everywhere. But the rest of the world, we have to actually make that happen. And now we have technologies over the past 8 years or so, 10 years. We have these technologies like React, Vue.js, Svelte, Angular. You probably heard of some of these. And they basically take care of that stuff. But it's a lot of there's a big learning curve, right? There's a and it's a it, in, quite honestly for FileMaker developers, it's a scary learning curve because we make our living delivering things, and to learn something takes away from the making the living part, right? And it takes a lot of effort. So that's where we sort of fit in. BetterForms is basically it's a web publishing front end, and it allows FileMaker developers to transfer their existing technology and build web apps. I'm going to show you a little bit about some of the web apps and how that works. This is our website. I just want to tell you about. Could you actually go to the real website if you don't mind? Is it
Yep.
possible? I want to tell you a little bit about our team. We're located in Toronto, Canada. For the most part, we're a virtual team. We have about 12 people or so, mostly in technical roles. About 80% of us are in technical roles. And in the process of that, we also do some. If you can go to the team there, we also do some consulting as well with our own product. We have a real strong kind of internal work ethic is where we practice what we preach. So basically everything we do we use our own product for, and this is sort of just some of the people of our team here. We're a highly support oriented company, so that means we do real-time support. We don't do any tickets. We don't even have a ticketing system other than we don't take any support through email. It's all live, right? Which is something that I can almost guarantee virtually nobody else does. And that means you can hop on if you have a problem and typically typically within 5 or 10 minutes there's somebody who's already answering your question. If you don't get an answer, they'll hop on a call with you as well. So all of our team is available to do that. All right, super. So here's the thing. FileMaker, we all love FileMaker. That's why we're here. Some of us traveled halfway around the world because we love it so much. But there's one fundamental flaw, and the opening keynote tried to address that, but in my opinion, there's still a bit of a flaw. And that is FileMaker is the perfect tool for when the person who's using FileMaker is on your payroll, right? What I mean by that is we can have an ugly app, we can have a glitchy app. It doesn't make any difference because that person is part of our team and they'll just learn how to use it, right? It doesn't matter about the UI. We can put a button here, we can make it do this. It makes no difference. But when you want to produce an app that goes out to the rest of the world, totally different experience. You have to have something that's on par, right? On par with every other app that they're going to. If you're going to build something that they're going to maybe order a product and your app doesn't look like everybody else's, your product looks inferior. If you're going to book some type of registration and it doesn't feel like everybody else's, it's not responsive, that comes across in your business. Hmm. True. But this is something that's only, I mean, the average age, what's the average age of a FileMaker app? 10, 15 years? Maybe the average age, right? I have an app that's literally 20 years old. I haven't worked on it since version 7. And oh, I agree. I agree. But it doesn't have to be, right? If it's on the web, it has to look good. It has to work. And that is the difference. We can get away with it. We can get away with adding the ugly buttons all over and making bright reds. Yes. So user experience. When you get into the dozens of people, you're not transferring the knowledge through peer. It's not practical. So that's a totally different scenario. Totally agree with that. So we have a lot of our clients. We have clients kind of fit into three categories. They're either in-house developers and they're building something for their company. They're consultants, so they're building something for somebody else, or they have a vertical. And we actually have about 10, 15% of our clients actually have verticals, so it's really high. You can go to the next slide. So I want to talk about the current landscape. We got a few options, and on one end of the spectrum, we have, let's say, nothing, and then we move into WebDirect would be our next one, Clara Studio in there, and then on the other end of the spectrum, we have like a scratch build. That's when you're basically downloading VS Code or whatever your editor is, Vim or whatever, and you're loading all your modules, your libraries, you're building your infrastructure, your build chains, and your build systems and things like that, and your hosting mechanisms, and you're doing everything from scratch. And there's nothing sort of in between those two. So if you're a FileMaker developer, you may realize that, does anybody have any problems with WebDirect? It's a little loaded, right? Personally, I love WebDirect as a technology, right? The underlying technology, I've always been a fan of it, but unfortunately, it never progressed. Clara Studio, I think, is a great product, and I actually defend it, believe it or not, quite a bit. But there's a fundamental problem: is that it's geared towards FileMaker users as we see FileMaker users now. In other words, it's the employees of the company, and still, it's not something that's super public facing. And I'll show you the difference between what you can build here. So let's jump forward one more here. I just want to talk a bit about our architecture really quick. Basically over here we have various devices. They can be almost anything. Those things connect up through a custom domain or an in-house domain. We have a couple different host domains to one of our data centers. We have data centers in North America, Asia Pacific, and Europe. And that connects to your FileMaker data through either the data API or the XML gateway. So everything stays secure in here. There is a small interface file, and then the data for your web app comes out of your FileMaker server. We don't cache any data or anything like that, so we stay fully GDPR compliant. We can guarantee data sovereignty per continent as well, so you can directly route, instead of going to our main data center and that goes out to other ones, you can directly route the traffic as well, so you can keep everything totally secure. Okay, super. Let's jump to the next one there. So I'm going to pass things over to Hassan, and he's going to show us a couple demos. I'm going to chime in a little bit on those as well.
All right, hey guys, Hassan here. Nice to meet everyone. My first time attending an Engage. So I'll show you guys some demos. All right, and where do we go on the screen? Whoops. All right. So one of the features we've been working on is a drag and drop editor, because we know a lot of people are FileMaker developers and not well versed with the front end as much. So I'll show off the drag and drop editor first. So over here, if I go into my new editor here, so this is a blank page we have over here. So I'll start by doing some drag and dropping. So this page header over here, let's add this at the top. So now I have a page header. I can customize this how I want. Let's say I want to call it invoices. Let's do that over there. And now we got invoices. And I'm going to add some more components. I have a page header that we already added, and I have some metrics. Let's add some metrics on over here. I want to add some more metrics. Let's do that right over here. And now we have some metrics. But we still need some more stuff on the page for a dashboard. Another thing we can add over here is, let's see, we'll add a table. And now we need to hook up this table. So with BetterForms, with this drag and drop over here, hooking up the table is fairly simple. On the side over here, we give you all the stuff that can go into the table. So all we do here is if I look at my data model, this is just some data over here, what it would look like when you pull from FileMaker. We have invoices over here, and we'll just be pulling invoices from FileMaker. So we can just change this to invoices, and let's just change some of the column names. So let's see what we want to use over here. We'll use the client, and let's just use the invoice number for now. So if I go over here, I can change this column to client, and I can change this to invoice. And now as simple as that, all the data is already showing over here. And it doesn't just stop here. You can customize more as well. So if I go to my invoices over here or my metrics over here, I can change the colors if I want. Let's say I want to use blue over here. I want to make this maybe a different icon for a different metric. I can do that as well. And we have a lot of other components as well over here that you can drag and drop on out of the box, and they'll just do what you need them to do. And Charles, if you want to add anything else onto this drag and drop editor.
No, I was just going to say a couple things we've introduced recently, and we'll go on to some actual live demos in a second, or some actual client apps. But one of the things is components. The idea of a component, if you've worked in any other web technologies, it's a reusable chunk of code. So it's basically something that he's created in another area of the app, and he's made this little widget here that has these, some numbers, and you can set this through a calculation or however you want. And now you can use that not only in this app, but you can use it, first of all, you can use it all over the app, and then you change it one place and it changes it for everything, as it should be. But you can also take that component and use it in other apps as well. So we're making those transportable amongst the different apps. The other interesting thing here is when we develop, quite often we develop without having the back end connected all the time. In FileMaker, where it's a full stack environment, so you're sometimes editing, then you're jumping into the data inspector, you're jumping into scripts, you're jumping into the graph, and you're making these changes. Generally, though, when you're building front-end web apps, we sort of work in one area because we're very concerned about the UX and sizing and spacing and things like that. So this development data is just some sample data, but this is exactly the data, and if we have some time later on, we'll show you how we pull that out of FileMaker. It's literally 2 lines of code to do something like that. Hassan, how would I go about, and yeah, this is another thing here too, fully responsive design, so you can test your responsiveness right away. How would you go about taking those cards, if you will, and I wanted them like 1, 2, 3 across?
Yeah, so right over here, if I go into my drag and drop over here, in the layout section over here, we have something called groups. So I can just take this groups 3 column header over here, if I want, place that up here, and now I can kind of just drag everything straight into here. 1 and 2. And there, now we have them across as well. And now if I resize this as well, you see it stays in that line. We can also, this was just a column 3 that we added on custom. You can also just choose column 4, column 2. You can make it different depending on the screen size you want using breakpoints as well.
So the idea here is that we wanted to make, we want to give you the ability to have really, really high fidelity in terms of your stuff. We have our own in-house full-time UX designer and a couple consultants that work with us as well. And they produce their stuff these days. They produce everything in Figma, so they want things pixel perfect. So when we produce stuff, we want to be able to adjust that as well, and that's a really, really important thing. So what if you wanted to take the? I noticed those. If you put a background color on the group.
Yeah, right over here. Let's put it on the group. So let's put a background color. Let's do BG. Let's see. Whoops, typo here. Background. And we can choose a bunch of colors over here. So let's go with, usually they're around the gray, a bit light gray here, something like this.
And if you wanted to reduce maybe let's say there's big space in between there.
So big space in between these over here.
Yeah,
let's go back
like
in
that.
here. So right now we have a space X4 over here. So we can get rid of that. Let's change that to.
So underneath the hood, these are actually CSS classes. This is using Tailwind, if anybody's ever used Tailwind before. right? Which is a really, really nice framework for working with CSS. What we've done is we've broken those classes out into things. So you actually have 100% control, just like any other web app. It's not a fixed opinion. This is not the BetterForms way of doing things. These are just CSS classes that are being applied to this underneath the hood there. So that gives you lots of flexibility. Let's actually have a look at some real world apps, and you can see how far we can go with this kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
let's look at some real world apps over here.
Don't take pictures of this. Yeah, we're gonna have to block that one out.
Okay, so over here, we're gonna start with this app that I've built. This is for a lighting production company where you can rent some equipment. So let me just sign in right here. Oh,
He's using my computer here, so there's none of his passwords are in there. So hope that's
let me just change the different screen sizes just to show you guys how it's reactive as well. So if I go over here, and now you see it's reactive, it's a different screen as well, just like that. So I can log in here. Oh, I think I went on the wrong one. All right, and this is an app we built over here. And one thing you'll notice right away is the customizability it has over here. Something like this you couldn't do if you weren't using some sort of web app where you're using like HTML, CSS, React, or something along those lines. You can't really do something like this with WebDirect where you have a lot of different customizability. And what I want to kind of show here is how it would look on a mobile screen as well. If I can just resize this right here. So if you notice, it's fully responsive when I go down to a mobile screen right here. These are not separate pages or anything. It's the same page, but just using Tailwind breakpoints, it gets fully responsive as well. So this is an example of an app right here. This is a massive app as well where you can build your shopping cart, build a bunch of orders. So I'm just going to go in over here. Yeah, right here. They can add a bunch of different orders to their cart.
And this is powered by FileMaker in real time. There's no intermediate database. There's no SQL database.
Yeah,
There's a
like
FileMaker database on the west coast
yeah, like
of the
all
states.
these items that I pulled in, this is all being pulled directly from FileMaker for this whole entire catalog page. And then I'll show off another app over here.
This is an interesting app. This is something that Jake Edwards,
Jake
Jake
Johnson.
Johnson. Jake Edwards is a DJ. Um, Jake Johnson is a uh, he's a he's a developer and he's a real UX guy, and he's from Angel City Data, a consultancy in the States. And this is an app that they're working on. It's going to be a vertical. Um, so they're going to be selling this. And they started off, and he's doing some proof of concepts of some things here. It looks like a template, and it's not actually a template. He's built all of these pieces here. And the idea of the app is it's for police to, if you have like a rent-a-cop, you need somebody out in front to usher people in because everybody's going to get rowdy because latest Claris announcement or something. So this is one of the apps that he's working on. He let us demo that. I'm not sure if we got the
Yeah, I just
credits.
gotta
Yeah.
sign in to the app. I was not signed in. Just 1 second here.
And it's kind of an interesting idea. There's actually three apps, three separate pieces of software, all running off the same database. There's one for people like us who want to rent the police officer. There's one for the police officers. They have a mobile app, and they have some. Don't worry about it if not, it's not a big deal. And they have another app that tracks the police officer's movement, so you can see how if he's patrolling your building or he's just sitting in the car. And then there's another one for the company that facilitates everything. So it's kind of interesting, and it's just in the process of being made here. But you can see totally different UI than the first one, fully customizable as well, all running off of FileMaker real time. And can we see?
Let's see if he has any data in here for some of these. This is the proof of concept app that he has. Yep.
Right, yeah. So you can see a whole bunch of, all these different data points, and that's all dynamic data, I believe that's coming from FileMaker. And let's jump to one more. Let's go to
Green Rock, great kid.
Green Rock. Yeah, Green Rock. Actually, there's a Great Kids is fine too. You can probably just type it in. I probably visited it on here before.
Okay, great.
So this next app is it's a it's an e-commerce site, and the idea here, I'm not sure if that's their dev environment. That might be even if you just type in Great Kids and
Oh,
Google the actual company. So Great Kids is an app that was built by NaviQ, formerly RecPro Hosting, and they're a really solid outfit. What they do is they are just a small consultancy in Upper Midwest somewhere, and this is an app that they built for their clients. And this is basically was a Shopify store, and they wanted to customize a lot of things. A lot of it's a digital download, so they wanted to customize the delivery of the assets, and that's something that they couldn't do in Shopify. So they said, well, we don't really need that. Let's build our own and out of FileMaker. So this is the entire app here. You can add a couple items. Just click on one of the cards there. Yeah, like the
oh, yeah,
actual,
yeah.
yeah,
Whoops.
yeah. So then you have this store type feel, and of course everything's responsive as well. You don't have to demonstrate that part there. And then finally, if you go up to the checkout on the top right, you can see your cart, and this is a really nice experience, which makes the company, it increases the quality of the confidence that you have in the company itself, right? Any questions about any of these so far? Yes. Yeah, they use Stripe. Right, but they use Stripe as what's called Stripe Elements. It's basically little iframe boxes that you can pick and choose your stuff, and it can embed totally seamlessly within your app. Correct. Yeah, so you can use actually virtually any third-party library. Um, we've been finding, and when we first built BetterForms 7 years ago, Tailwind as a CSS framework wasn't there, but we have the flexibility to use any framework we want. And we say, oh, this one's really nice. Let's build it in, right? Or at least let's build around it. But you can jump and you can use, Bulma or Bootstrap or any of these frameworks if you're already familiar with them. But if you're not, Tailwind is one that anybody can learn within a day or so. So that's a type of experience. Yeah, this uses Stripe Elements, which is to build payment gateways is really easy, right? And you don't really want to. I know a lot of developers are, are are handling payments right inside FileMaker, and it's such a liability. I think we already have all of this, the ability on the web for companies like Stripe and PayPal. They take care of all the security. All you have to do is process a token, and that's really the right way of building things. I want to jump. How are we doing for time here? Not too bad. I want to jump to if you could go to Connect
Yep.
app, and I want to show you something here. Actually, no, sorry, in the
Oh,
browser, like open a new
whoops.
tab there. All right, I want to show you something really quick. Can you click Play Challenges? This is a demo app that we made, and if you get your phone out, we got some giveaways and stuff like that for you as well. Grab your phone, and if you don't have this already installed, and I want to show you something that's really cool. This is a demo of a what's called a progressive web app. A progressive web app is a type of application. It's a web app just like normal, but it has a little bit of extra metadata and allows you to install the app into your phone. And it acts just like a native app. And if you don't have a camera or it's broken or it's got a crack or something because you sat on it, yeah, maybe if you want to, you can pass that around. There's a little RFID you can beep in. So once you do this, it's going to prompt you to install. This is on a desktop, but this is an example of building some type of a responsive design where this page is the exact same pages that you landed on when you scan the QR code. The only difference is it's showing different things based on the device that you're on. So you can go to next, I think. All right, and in the app we have just a few different things. There's a couple things. So Madeline has brought some. We figured, okay, we're going to Sweden, and she brought some toques to give away These are authentic Canadian. Really, they're just hats, but we use this term toque, which is apparently a Canadian term. You can open that up. Yeah. Okay. So I always open up the wrong end, but I think they're pretty good. They're super warm. They're really nice, really nicely made, and they actually are made in Canada. I don't know if that's a benefit or not, um, but but I think they're pretty cool. So here's how you win one. All you have to do is fill out these two things. Just say hello in your native language, and while you're doing that, I'm going to tell you about some of the things in the app. So what's happening right now? This is powered live by FileMaker. So you can imagine this is we have an event. There's an events table. There is a swag table, or sorry, yeah, swag table, and there is a task table. So there's three tables there. And we're just rendering these. This has a primary key that belongs to this, and this is showing this. So something like this in FileMaker, this would be like a portal here. But then there's another portal there. So we don't have that ability to do those kinds of layouts in FileMaker. But of course, in the web, you can do virtually anything. Data does not have to sit in one table. And that's a bit of a paradigm shift, that you're not stuck in this. Okay, I'm going to look even in the presentation today. It's like, well, now we're on this table. We're still thinking about data being having this context, and the web doesn't need to be like that at all. Even if your data is in the FileMaker. So there's a couple things, and there's a little progress bar at the top. And can you just click on one of those? Doesn't matter which one. You'll notice every one of these when you go into the page is different. So it's like, well, how do you build something like this where every question or task has a different UX? Right? The trick is, or what we're doing here is, this is all dynamic data that's generated from FileMaker. So FileMaker is basically saying, here's the schema that I want you to present for this particular idea of task. And then when you go to a different one, just go to a different one. There's like, this has three fields. This has another one, totally different. Another one here. This one has a camera. So you can do these kinds of interfaces, which is exceptionally hard. Even a scratch built device is really a lot of work if you have to build something like that. But it's really easy in BetterForms. There's one that's wrong. there's an extra there's an extra flag that's turned on for a default button, but that's okay. We'll fix that. So fill that out. I want you to go over to the feed. As you fill those things out, they're going to show up on this feed. So Jeroen says hello, and so on, and Marcelo, and you can kind of scroll down. And it should be easy enough to take a picture if you want to take a picture, because everybody's here as a developer, so that's not a problem. And if you go over to the leaderboard, I want to show you one other really cool thing. Um, Actually, sorry, go back over to the feed for just a second. And what we're going to do is, I don't tell jokes, period. So I want you to go and don't let it go to his head. Not everybody has to like it, but I want you to like those, and you'll see the number change. So what's happening here is, this is real-time data. Right? This is another thing that's really hard to build in a scratch built app. But that's something that FileMaker does excellent, though. And since we have a new on window transaction, we can take advantage of some of these events there. So what's happening is that on window transaction, we're just picking that up, and we're just telling all the connected devices about that information. So you can build these kinds of real-time things. Jump over to leaderboard for a sec, and you'll notice you're in there. He's at the top. Sorry, buddy. Let's unlike him. So if you stay on that screen,
Oh,
stay on
whoops.
the leaderboard. Yeah, but you guys, if you click on here, you can see his post, and you can see just a filter of his post. So that's kind of like a link going backwards. And if you unlike him, you'll see real-time data. There's a little simple animation. The animation was actually written by AI, so we didn't even do it. We just said, animate this kind of thing, do a transition. But you'll see as there's Sonia here. Maybe you can bump up that. You can remove Charles's laptop, move him down or something, and you'll see the data move in real time. Again, something that's really challenging normally, but it's really easy when you already have the framework where we've already done all the hard work and all the lifting. Any questions about that app at all? Did anybody finish those challenges? You get a hat? You don't want a hat? No hats? No hats? All right. So see Madalena there, sorry. See Madalena, and she'll hook you up. Right? I want to do one more thing. Could you go to our website as well, or you can just go to the homepage of this app. Actually, go to our website if you
Yep,
could.
we can do that.
Just super. I just want to go into a couple things. I'll tell you a little bit about pricing, then we'll kick around because I think we're pretty much done for time, and then we'll kick around answering any questions afterwards. But if you jump over to pricing there for a quick second at the top. Yeah. We have two main plans. We've just introduced yesterday, this just went live. We actually reduced our pricing by about a third. We've reshifted our plans around so they're more right sized for everybody. We haven't changed them in a while. And basically, we have two main plans. Citizen Developer is great for building small, simple apps like the one you're using right now. Pro Plan is more like for those apps that Hassan was demonstrating. They're a little bit more complex, right? The difference is one is about $30 a month or so. The other one ends up being about 100 or so dollars a month. Um, Primarily, you have a few different things and resources. BetterForms has full development environment, staging, production environment. So that means you can have totally isolated areas where you're developing, and then you can deploy to production really easily. So you get a few extra environments for a bigger app because usually you have more infrastructure around that. We also have, if you go to see offers in the top there, we also have very, very top, right
Oh,
up
yeah.
there. Yeah. We have a couple exclusive promotions there, and just, yeah, you can go down. All right, we have $100 off coupon right here, and that's also in the app on the home page of the app. If you scroll to the bottom, you'll see all those deals, and we also have a $300 off of your first year off of our Pro plan, which is a pretty good deal. It's about 40% or so off, I think. Yeah, just you can just leave it there. Yeah, right there is good. All right. Any questions at all about anything so far? Yes. Not React. And the reason for that is we use Vue.js under the hood. It's an easier framework for people. We looked at a lot of frameworks like 6, 7 years ago. Um, and Vue tends to be a little bit more suited for our community. It's super flexible and it's what's called a progressive framework. So you can use a little bit or you can use a lot. And you also don't need a build routine. So, but having said that, if you take your React component, put it into a web component, so it's encapsulated, you can import that web component in. Correct. Yeah. As a web component, right? Because which is a standardized box, if you will. So, yes. Great question. So we don't have SEO abilities for that because it's client side rendered, right? That gives us some advantages and some disadvantages. The one is we don't do SEO, right? That's usually not a problem for anybody because aside from one or two use cases, we don't really want to have all of our data uh, um, searchable, right? Most of the time. If you do, what you do is you have something like what Great Kids does. You'll have a web site. Can you actually go to um, Logix? If you go, this is an interesting. Just what's your website for the? Yeah, yeah. I think actually it's. You let it. Yeah, let him type it out.
I'll let you
So
take over.
this is an interesting hybrid. Something that Jeroen built. I think this is very really interesting app. And the idea here is that he's got. I think it's WordPress. Is that your? And so this is a WordPress site up in here, and this is some data that's loading up in here, and this is a BetterForms app from here down to here, right? But it's sitting in an iframe, so it's seamless, so you wouldn't know. And in this case, you can just zoom in on maybe like a little area there, and the data on the side changes. And then there's a really neat contact form over here that you can sort of um, subscribe to. Can you click here on the side over here? Yeah. And then there's a whole contact form where you can, I think if I'm understanding it correctly, you can subscribe to look for certain spaces as they come available. It's kind of a neat idea, really neat idea. But again, that's pretty cool, and that's powered by FileMaker. Like you don't normally see that kind of thing, and I think it's a really really neat implementation. So that's a combination of SEO from the parent, but the data inside. Yes. Yes, we have France is for in Europe, and then we have in Singapore for Asia Pacific. No, we don't. Yeah, it's a great question. No, not too much actually. Most of the apps we served out of here, the actual FileMaker server is sitting overseas, but the data that's transmitted is relatively small. It's not BetterForms is not chatty like WebDirect is. It's basically making one call there, one call back. There's your data. It's not going back and forth and brokering and saying who else is on the network and all these kinds of things. So you don't usually have too much of an impact when you're overseas or you're out of far away from the data center. Yes, we have a user. They have 85,000 users. Now they're not all on at the same time. Um, but it's our biggest user. Their traffic, when they first launched, accounted for 5 times the traffic of 400 other apps put together. Right? That's how much volume they came up with. And the only thing we had to do for them is they had to optimize a little bit of changes in FileMaker. It's a document archive, so you can go and search for documents. And it's the world's biggest archive of its kind, with about 6,000 archive documents, which doesn't seem like very many, but a lot of people are really interested in these. And yeah, the only thing really needed to do is they did a couple things. We made one small change in the web app so that all the apps are not always refetching the data because the data doesn't change that fast, so it caches inside the app. BetterForms has provisions for that. It's literally a checkbox and a little bit of code change. And then we made one other change on the server side, and that was to take all of the data that they were going to serve out and put it into one field, so they're only fetching one field one time, and you're not processing all of this data through FileMaker each time. So, and that right away made such a huge difference. But for the most part, it's not a problem at all. Our network can scale fine as long as we see the traffic coming. It does some auto scaling. Plus, we can a couple clicks and we've doubled the capacity. All right. Correct. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't get into that too much because it's really hard to cover a lot of things. What I do encourage everybody to do is book a time, book a demo over the next couple of weeks. If you show me that you book a demo, we'll hook you up with a awesome. I think they're really, really good T-shirts. Not these ones here, but everybody who likes them, who has them, right? So if you book a time, we can hook you up and go through a nice full demo and talk about all the architecture. And we'll actually build something for you too, whatever your use case is. All right, Hans is out there and he's doing jumping jacks. He wants me to finish up in here, so I should let him go a bit more because it's cardio. But but once again, come see us over at the booth, and we'll go through a lot more in a lot more depth. All right, thank you guys. And this is his first time. Like he presents on our Friday Live, which is a community meetup group we have once a month. If you have the opportunity to come out because we have some really good guests. But give a hand for Hassan because he's done a great job. So all right, thank.